Good morning. On today's video we are going to do a little bit of engine work, a little bit of maintenance. We're going to talk about Project Catamaran and how that's going and some of the obstacles that I'm facing. We're also going to do a huge thank you to a certain gentleman who, out of the kindness of his heart, has taken it on himself to help me grow my channel. Apologies about the wind. As soon as I pick up the camera the wind starts blowing, but anyway, yeah, we've got quite a bit to talk about today, and hopefully, as I said, we'll be able to show you some bits and pieces getting done on the engine. I think firstly I would like to thank George at Stormdancer. Mate, thank you very much. It is hugely appreciated. You have helped me enormously. You have pretty much doubled my subscribers in the space of 1 week, so thank you. If you're ever over this direction, give me a shout. We'll meet up and we'll have a laugh. Again, thank you very much. If you haven't seen George at Stormdancer, I'll put a link in the description. He's got this gorgeous catamaran, and I'm no jealous at all, honestly. But yeah, he's got a very beautiful catamaran, and he's got ingenious ways of fixing things that I would never have thought of. So I've actually learned a lot about catamarans and boats. I've learned a lot of workarounds that have helped me on this boat. So if you haven't seen it, go over and check him out, definitely. I think next we'll talk about Project Catamaran. I have sent out probably 2,000 emails to port authorities, to harbours, to boat yards and marinas in the UK and across France and Holland so far. I've had quite a few positive feedback coming from France and some from Holland. I've struggled quite a bit with the UK, strangely enough, especially boat brokers. That's been an eye-opener for me. I was emailing back and forward with a particular one down in the south of England that seems to specialise in catamarans and things. And basically what they've said is their average catamaran is about 35 grand that they sell, so anything less than that isn't really worth their while. Well, they didn't basically say that, they actually said that in writing. So it's occurred to me, I was actually talking about a couple of catamarans that were about £5,000 each, and one of them's been sitting for over 20 years. And I'd say to them, look, I've got this project on the go and I'm looking at about £1,000. Surely £1,000 for a catamaran is better than it's sitting for another 21 years. And they came back and said, no, our minimum fee is £2,500. So £1,000 wouldn't be worth it. And basically what they said is they wouldn't even contact the seller for anything less than the asking price, which means if you've got a catamaran or a boat that is small potatoes, let's say, then I don't think boat brokers are the way to go, because they're actively not contacting sellers rather than lose a bit of percentage on their commission. I get it, they've got a business to run and things, but my naive head, where everything's fair, straight away thought that the boat broker would be working for the seller. And quite quickly I got a reality check and realised that actually they're working for themselves. Which is a shame, because the boats I was looking at, the catamarans I was looking at, as I said, I think one's been sitting for over a decade and one's been sitting for over 20 years now. And they need a huge amount of work, and they're going to lie and rot into the ground. And the broker would rather see it that way then, you know, just sell it for cheaper. Which, in my head, just beggars belief. I mean, I'm always a reuse and recycle kind of guy. I would rather take something old and repair it than buy something brand new. But that's just my way, you know, it's no big business. I'll probably never be rich or anything like that with the mentality that I've got. So, where I'm at is I've made contact about 3 specific catamarans. 2 of them, the broker's not interested because, you know, they're not going to make their minimum $2,500 fee. One of them, I don't know, I get the impression that the guy that owns the boatyard is trying to keep the catamaran long enough that he can actually claim it on expenses and then repair it and sell it himself. So that's another one that I think he'll just leave alone. I feel bad for the seller because apparently he's an elderly gentleman that he's too ill to fix the catamaran himself, and he's no very tech savvy, so he's no online. So that one left a bad taste in my mouth. I don't like people being taken advantage of. But anyway, there's not a lot I can do about that. As I said though, I've got about a couple of thousand emails out. I have, I think, about 10 different groups on Facebook I've advertised on, which brings me to another issue with the project. This time of year, you know, the start of the season, people are trying to sell their boats for maximum money, and rightly so. You know, you want to get as much as possible for your boat. And a lot of people seem to be asking for free boats as well, claiming that they're homeless and that they're asking for free boats and things. And I was, you know, I took that at face value, and I messaged somebody back and I says, look, you're probably going to struggle because you're at the start of the season here. Everybody's trying to sell their boat for maximum money. And I gave them some advice on getting help with homelessness and things like that. I made some suggestions about living in a van rather than trying to get a boat. And I was contacted privately by one of the group administrators who said to me, this happens every year at this time of year. As soon as the sunshine comes out, people try to take advantage and get free boats by saying that they're homeless. I don't know if this is true or not. I would hope not, because homelessness is not something to be taken advantage of. As I said in previous videos, I've served in the forces, and I was homeless when I came out, and I had to work 2 jobs, night and day, just to get the money together for a flat. But there's a lot of guys a lot worse off than me that have a lot more struggles in their mind than me, and they never make it off the streets. I mean, I seen a thing there the other day. One of the guys that carried Princess Diana's coffin actually froze to death on the streets. He went to the council allegedly and asked for help twice, and he was given a sleeping bag, and the man froze to death after all these years of service, after carrying Princess Diana's coffin. You know, it counts for nothing. There's a lot of guys that come out into Civvy Street that they never adjust again. I mean, it took me 10 years to get to where I am, and even now I still expect things to be done on time, every time, and it causes me issues. I expect things to be fair, and life's just not like that. It took me a long time, you know, as I said, 10 years. But unfortunately, some people, they never get to that stage, and they end up losing the fight. So I hope that people aren't taking advantage of that story just to get free boats. Anyway, I digress. I'm rambling on here. What I intend to do is keep on trying with the catamaran project. I'll keep on sending emails. There's still a good few thousand boat yards and port authorities and things that I can try and, you know, There's some more in Holland, there's a lot in Norway, Finland. So, I'll just keep on going, and hopefully somebody gets back to me. Hopefully somebody has something that they're willing to give away, you know, just to see it getting fixed and to see it sailing and going adventures. But I'll get some things ready just now, and then I'm going to crack on and get some engine work done. I've talked about these solar panels in previous videos. I said that they were only temporary, just for to get me some power coming into my batteries, into my leisure batteries. So the time has come that I'm now going to take them off, and I'm going to look at investing in the big flexible ones, the 400 watt ones. So if I can get 2 of them up here, it'll be an awful lot better if I keep a hold of the boat. If I don't, they'll go onto the catamaran, and I will sell these ones at a reduced cost so that somebody else can use them. They're good solar panels, and I've got a good inverter there for them, so I'm sure somebody will be able to use them rather than them getting wasted. I like the idea of the flexible ones better, because the wind can get underneath these ones as well, and especially when we're underway with the engine, you get that vibration off them, which can be irritating after a few hours. So as I said, we'll get this off and we'll get some nice new ones. Now it's a little bit choppy, so there'll be a bit of gymnastics here. Picking up today, I think it's at about 30 knots just now, and although we're in the harbour and we're quite sheltered, there's a lot of whitecaps just the other side of the pier, so I'll have to be careful once I take these off. Just leave it like that, just now. Just have to get the clips off them. Go over the other side now and I'll take this one off. Now I'll leave that clip on there just now. I think with the flexible ones as well, they'll actually adhere to the spray hood and things, and it'll save having to put screw nails and holes through it. Obviously I've already got the wire in here, so I'll be able to just put 2 new ones on. I'll pull this back through and keep it dry in the meantime. I think if we get more powerful ones, it'll let us run a lot more electrical systems and maybe even a fridge, which would be really good, because there's nothing worse than hot milk. Anyway, I'll get this one off just now. was relatively easy. We'll come back in a moment and we will start having a look at the engine and see about reinstating the original fuel tanks and things. One of the things with this solar setup is you have to make sure that the battery is attached before you attach the solar panels and vice versa, or you can fuse this this charge controller. So when you put it in, you've got to put the battery on first and then the solar panels, and do the reverse when you're taking it out. So I've already got the solar panels off, so I'll take the two solar ones here, the positive and the negative. I'll take that off and then I'll take the battery off, and that will keep it in good condition. Now it doesn't look like very much, but the swell's even getting into the harbour now. I don't know if you can see the wee boat, it was getting thrown up and down there. And I think that's what they call Sod's Law. As soon as you start doing anything electrical that needs to be precise, you'll get the boat kind of jumping up and down trying to stop you. But anyway, we managed to get it done, so I'll get these solar panels back up to the car just now. Now today we're going to try and reinstate these original fuel tanks. We've got one on this side here, and it's quite difficult because I'm actually lying down, but you see the line coming here between into here. This is the other tap, this is the secondary tank, and this in here is where the diesel goes through the hose into the engine. Well, it goes through that water separator in here. You see the water in there. It goes through that water separator, then into the engine, and once it goes through the engine, I don't know if you can see, but there's a return hose in there as well that goes back to this tank. So any diesel that the engine hasn't burned goes into this tank. So what we're going to do is we're going to reinstate this today, and we're going to put another filter on it, because although this water separator is good at separating the water out, it doesn't actually filter it. So we've only got the one engine filter that's actually doing all the work. So we'll put a separator on it, a separator filter on it as well, and hopefully that's not too much for the fuel pump to push, and it'll keep things a lot cleaner. It'll keep any diesel bug out and things like that. And I think I'll mount it in round about here somewhere. As I said, we'll have the hose coming from here up into this this new filter separator, and then into the water separator, focus, into the water separator there, and then into the engine. Now I'll just assemble this this new filter separator thing, and we'll come back into the engine bay. As I said, it's quite difficult. I don't know if I can even show you. I'll try and show you how I'm lying just now. It's no very easy to film down here. I'm actually lying on the ground, reaching down, and this is where I'm working in here. So as I said, it's no easy to film it, but I'll get as much as I can. I know that people find the repair side of things quite interesting, but it's, as I said, it's not the easiest to get into, and it's certainly not the easiest to film, but I'll see what I can do. Now, with this filter, it's got the separator bowl on it as well, and you can undo this just to run any water that it catches out. And I sent away for some new filters for it. and this bit here goes on there. Like this. And it just fits nice and tight. And then this one here just like that. And then you've got your inlet and your outlet, so you know this will come from the diesel tank and it'll run through here and come back up through and go out into the engine. And this here will be bolted onto the bulkhead in the bit that I showed you. And that way, as I said, once we get any water and things in here, I can just unscrew this and let it run out. You can actually put a wee hose on here. So, I mean, they're quite inexpensive, but they save a lot of problems, especially with older tanks that have got diesel bug and things like that. So, I'll get this ready to go on. Obviously you can fill it up in here. I've got a small funnel that will do that, because the last thing you want to be doing is turning the engine over and over and over to try and fill this wee tank. So you can fill it from the top or prime it, and that saves a lot of power going out in the battery. Anyway, I'll get back down in the engine bay and we'll get this in. Now I've got the 2 points marked off here. I'm going to try and drill this with my left hand so I can video it. It's actually a lot more difficult than you think, videoing and drilling with the wrong hand at the same time. Right, I'll enlarge the 2 holes and then I'll bolt it on and we'll come back in. Now I've just took the bulb off the old water separator, and as you can see it's got quite a bit in it, so I'm going to give that a clean out and we'll get that refilled with diesel and things. There's some crud in there as well. It looks like some old diesel bug, so I'm going to get some diesel bug treatment through the tanks. And hopefully I'll have the rest of this done soon and I'll bring these back in then. For a lot of younger people that might not know, this was actually the system that was in before your modern filters. This just separated the water and the fuel before it got to the engine. And it was quite an effective system, but thankfully modern filters are easier to put in and not quite as much faff when you're putting them in. You can just screw them on and off now. This one's a bit more involved. But anyway, as I said, I'll get this put back in and I'll bring these back in. Now, that's me got some new fuel line on it in here, going into the first one, and I've got that filled up, and then along into the old one here. As I said, I've got some new fuel line on it because the old stuff, I think, to be honest, it's older than me and it went brittle, so it really wasn't worth using again for the sake of the price of a bit of new fuel line. Always better safe than sorry as far as your fuel line and things like that goes. Another job for today, I don't know if you can see it properly, is this here. This is an old-fashioned fuel gauge, and if you look round the corner here, you can see this here, and it goes from the bottom of the tank to the top, and it used to have clear pipe in it there, clear hose, so that you could see the level of your fuel tank. Over the years it's obviously got all discoloured and things, so I'm going to put some nice clear stuff on it so that I can see at a glance without having to use a stick. It's a good backup if your electricity goes or something like that. You can always look down and just visually check that you've got enough fuel and things. So I'll get that changed over and I'll come back in. I've got that old pipe off and I've got the new one. Now I've warmed the ends up there to flare them so that they go on the fitting easily. But as you can see, the new stuff comes in rolls. So I'm going to have to warm that up and straighten it out slightly. I'll come back in once I get that done. Now I wouldn't advise doing this at home, no, unless you know what you're doing. But what this is doing is warming the plastic up and softening it, and it allows you to straighten it back out, and the plastic has memory, so once it cools down again it'll stay relatively straight like that, which makes it an awful lot easier to get on between the 2 points. Now that's me got that on there. As you can see, it's nice and clear, so we'll be able to see the level of the fuel just at a glance. Even if something happens and the power goes out, we'll be able to look at that and see straight away whether we've got fuel or not. So that's another good job done today. Next one is this gearbox. I don't know if you can see it here, but this is the filler cap, and when you take that off, it's actually got a dipstick in it and it'll let you see the level. So I'm going to get that filled up today. It gets filled up with the automatic transmission fluid, and it uses it like hydraulic fluid to put the two plates together and create drive. So I drained that off yesterday to put new stuff in it, just to make sure everything's all nice and good to go for the season. So I'll get that topped up and I'll let you see the dipstick and things. So that's me got that cap off now, and as you can see, it actually has the fill indicator on it as well. So when you unscrew it, it tells you how much you need to put in. To get away down there, it can be quite difficult. So what I've done, it's just a really simple thing. I've got a funnel onto a lengthy hose with the tip off another funnel, and that just helps me get it done without getting the oil everywhere, and I can just put it there like that. Now, as I said, this hose here, it just helps save getting oil all over the bilge and things like that. I'm sure there's probably a specific tool for to do it, but this is something that I found easy to make up. So I'll fill this up and I'll come back into you and I'll let you see the oil level on the dipstick once it's filled. Now that's me got that filled up. As you can see, still managed to get a drip in the bilge, but as you can see, that's up to the level now, so she should be good and happy for the rest of the year, and that's another job done. I'll just get this tightened down. Sorry for the lighting, guys. I'll get it improved as we go along. As I said in the last video, this is all a learning curve for me. Anyway, onwards and upwards to the next job. Now, the next job for today is one that I've actually had quite a bit of problems with. Is this oil filter. It's onto the gearbox here. And as I said in previous videos, they don't actually make this anymore. So I had to send away to Germany to get an adapter kit that'll fit onto this. Well, it'll fit onto the space. Now, I'd love to tell you that this came straight off in my hand and I didn't have to spend ages putting dents and things in it with various machines.
and it's not even wanting to come off now. There we go. Aye, you can tighten it on with a flathead screwdriver, and then you get this filter for it here. So I'll get this adapter plate put on because I can't think of a way of putting it on and filming it at the same time. Unfortunately, I've only got the two arms and I need three of them for it to hold on just to put the thing on. So I'll come back in once I've got that plate on. Now, you give that a tightening with a screwdriver, like that. Make sure it's nice and tight. Now, one thing I didn't do was check if this is actually going to fit in, so we'll both be finding out at the exact same time. Thankfully, it does seem to be marrying up okay. Now, a lot of people like to crank these things down with a tool, but they're only supposed to go in hand tight. If you put them in with a machine quite often, with the years of heating up and cooling down, it makes them nearly impossible to get off like that last one was. I mean, as I said, I had to bend that just to get it out. But that's in good and tight just now. And that's another good job done today. So, I think that'll do us for jobs today. I'll get this engine hatch shut up because there's a bit of a swell coming right through the pier, and the whole day I've been bouncing up and down trying to get jobs done, so I think it's time to stop and go home and get a bite to eat. One of the next projects that I have on with the boat is this. This is the air filter, or the air filter box. Now, I said that I'd bought a replacement for it, because this is the original. I don't know if you can see any of the markings on it. Ah, there we go. Focus. There. Now, I tried to get a direct replacement for it because, as you can see, it's absolutely done for. I've never seen an air filter that bad, to be honest. It must be the original or one of the originals. And as I said, I bought a replacement for it. It was supposed to be a direct replacement. The only issue is this. It's actually quite a bit taller. So it's obviously not a direct replacement. I actually bought that from an online chandlery. So, or as other people call them, swindlery. Aye. So I'm going to have to source another one of these from somewhere, because I can't run the boat on this. That's just, I think the only thing holding it together is the rust. So I'll get online and I'll do a bit of research, and if any of you guys know of a replacement for it, please feel free to let me know. It would make my life a lot easier. Because obviously that one isn't going to fit into there. Now that's me back home in the warm and dry, because, well, it's back to being the frozen north up here. We did get about a week of really nice weather there, and I got out a few times and I had a play on the wee tender. I'll stick some footage in here after. Just to let you see how beautiful this place can be at times. But thank you very much for watching the video. And George, thanks again. I really appreciate the help, mate. If you're ever up here in the frozen north, let me know. And if you could help me by like, share and subscribe, I'd really appreciate that. It really helps the channel. It helps me get these wee projects out to more people. And who knows, the more people that get to know, somebody might know of a catamaran that's lying there needing help that I could rescue. If you know of one lying there, please let me know. I'm really excited, and I'm just going to keep on going until I find a catamaran. Because George, as I said, I'm no jealous, mate, but yeah, she's gorgeous. Anyway, thank you very much for watching. I really appreciate it, and I'll see you next time.